We do actually have company values, and they are think, make things better, and give a f***. Podnosh started as a website. I wanted to make podcasts that you could get your teeth into, that had a bit of substance to them, hence the name. And the first big job I did was create a podcast that told the stories of active citizens here in Birmingham. So I went round and interviewed 50, 60 different people to find out what made them tick, what they were up to. So that's how Podnosh itself started, simply as a website. But gradually over time, as I picked up more clients, did more podcasting, started to pass the skills on to other people, and started to employ people, Podnosh went from simply a website and turned into a business. What we're trying to do is grow the civic conversation online. So I'm a strong believer that you need the public sector, the third sector, local active citizens who are civically minded online together so that they can start to talk about civic things. So it's very easy to use the internet to talk about gossip and all sorts of other things. But if you really, as a public servant, want to co-produce, you want to collaborate with people, then you need to be where they're talking about civic things. You need to talk about civic things yourself, and they need to be there as well. So a big part of what we do is help people from the various different sectors grow more confident to use the web for civic things and give them the tools and the skills and the belief that it's worthwhile. Almost all of our work has ultimately come out of some form of movement creation, intentionally or unintentionally. In fact, it's almost always unintentional. So something that I started back in 2008 and was only ever supposed to happen once was the social media surgeries. And that's a very simple, relaxed way in which local bloggers sit down with local active citizens and help them out, just share a few skills with them. But people really enjoyed that, and so we kept replicating them, and more happened, and we've ended up with 1,000 different social media surgeries happening across 7 different countries, in 170 different places, 4,500 people helped, 500 volunteers. So almost all the work we do is ultimately based on what we've learnt about building movements. So whether they are a police force, whether they're a local authority, a social enterprise, a charity, what we're helping them do is tell their stories and other people's stories to build relationships, build connections, and ultimately build movements. And the individual stories are much less important than the trust you build through telling stories. I think the main reason why the social media surgeries took off was because they were enjoyable and simple. So people really loved sitting next to somebody and helping them out. They just got a real buzz out of it. In fact, the people who provide the help coined this phrase of social glow. The feeling they had after a social media surgery, they were just buzzing with the fact that they sat next to somebody brilliant and been able to help them out. That was it. They didn't need any other reward. But the other thing was that it's very easy when you start to grow something to start to add layers of bureaucracy and rules and all that sort of stuff. And something I fought quite consistently to do was to say, no, this is really simple. All you need to run a social media surgery is a room where there's tea, coffee and Wi-Fi, somebody to help and somebody who's willing to help. That's it. And actually, sometimes at a social media surgery, nobody turns up. So you're just a single person sat on your own with your laptop, Billy no mates, but you've had 90 minutes of peace and quiet and a cup of tea, and that's a win as well. So I've always believed that keeping it simple is what helps things grow. And I think the social media surgeries demonstrate that to a certain degree. The Impact Assessment app is a very simple way for organisations that help people, particularly help somebody over a period of time, to capture how they help them in the words of the people they're helping. So it allows you to essentially ask people what difference you're making in their world consistently, bit by bit. So you spend half an hour with somebody, you do something with them, you use the app. Next week you use it again. And over time you get the journey that they're on in their words. And then you can put all that data together across all the different people you help and start to analyse that and turn the stories into something that resembles data. So it also is based on the idea that rather than waiting till the end to ask somebody what they got out of something, or waiting until you've got to write a report to go back and find out, as you're working with people, just check in with them. Just the fact that two people are trying to achieve something together will stop and say, what have we just achieved? Helps build a relationship and helps them understand what they're doing and helps the process of helping people. So it's a very simple app, works on Android phones or iPhones, and yeah, it's just for measuring the impact you're having in the words of the people you're helping. We do quite a wide range of work, so we do a lot of passing skills into organisations, whether they're public sector or third sector. So originally I was a journalist, it was my job to tell the story, but we do a lot of work to help people build up the skills to use the tools and the nous to tell their own stories. We will help organisations with any sort of web communication, so if they need a website, we'll help them create a simple website. We also do quite a lot of work around open data with the public sector and the third sector, so trying to build open data skills and an understanding of open data. Quite a lot of work with public sector organisations who are trying to find different ways of building relationships. So it's rather than conventional consultation processes, we'll get them to start building relationships for ongoing consultation as a conversation. I remember when we ran, I think it was the 4th social media surgery. So up until this point, we'd helped a group of people, and a woman who'd been to the first 3 and gradually got better at, I think we'd helped her set up a blog. She gradually got better at doing things on the internet. She turned up to the 4th one, and I said, how can we help you? What do you want help with this time? She said, no, Nick, I'd like to help somebody else if that's okay. And this penny suddenly dropped that what was going on here was what I now call a loop of generosity, and she'd spotted it. It wasn't people with skills sharing them with somebody else, it was people sharing with each other. And she'd recognised something that I hadn't, which is she was actually a much more powerful teacher than even I was, because she'd only been at it for 3 months. And for her to sit next to somebody and say, don't be scared of this, I only started 3 months ago, was considerably more powerful than anything I was doing. So just her recognition that this was an act of generosity, not an act of teaching, was really powerful. We do actually have company values, and they are think, make things better, and give a f***. And we tend to find that if we're trying to do a piece of work and it's gone wrong, it's because we haven't done those 3 things. So really our values are to do with, you can put lots of effort into things, but the question is, are you really caring? Are you really trying to do the right thing? And is what you're doing worthwhile? Well, we really do want to get more people using the Impact Assessment app, not just because it's a product and we'd like people to use it and we think it's fantastic, but also because the organisations who get it, who like the idea of trusting the people they're helping and trusting those stories as a way of demonstrating the work that they're doing, tend to share values. So if we can grow the number of people using it, we can start introducing them to each other, and they can start learning from each other, and we can start learning from them. So having gone from building networks and movements to a product, I'm now interested in whether we can use the product to go on and maybe build another network and possibly something that's a bit movement-like.